Caitlin Clark to the New York Liberty? Confirmed? You guys?
The photo that ignited basketball Twitter was snapped in the tunnel beneath Barclays Center. It shows Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark, dressed in street clothes due to a groin strain that has kept her out since early July, sharing a laugh with New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello and franchise stars Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu.
Is a WNBA team that have been very, very, very much in, like, they made it clear that they want Caitlin Clark, or they're eventually going to want Caitlin Clark. Along those lines, they made it very, very clear. And that team is the New York Liberty. And today, we have just seen the New York Liberty players, after the game, meeting up with Caitlin Clark. It is Stewie. It is Sabrina Ionescu. There is Sandy Brondello. And by the way, Stewie is not leaving New York the rest of her career. That is one thing that I will be 199.
Also seen in the group was Caitlin Clark's longtime agent, Aaron Kane. The Fever had just suffered a 9-8-7-7 defeat, their second consecutive loss to the defending champion Liberty. Yet, the mood in the tunnel was far from gloomy. One camera, phone click later. The photo was everywhere, flooding social media feeds. And within minutes, the speculation began. Is Clark eyeing the Liberty?
We're going to talk about this little scene that took place after the Fever game last night in New York between Sandy Brondello and Caitlin Clark, the New York Liberty, and the agent. The agent. That is what makes this so interesting.
Before jumping to conclusions about what the photo does or doesn't suggest, it's important to understand the facts. Caitlin Clark is currently in the second year of her 4-year rookie-scale contract. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, the Indiana Fever hold a team option for 2028 and can also apply the WNBA's core designation twice after that, giving them significant control over Clark's future well into the decade. Unless the next CBA alters the core rules, the earliest Clark could leave Indiana without the team's consent would be 2029.
It's a weird situation, but you can see, and this is one of the more important things. You see this right here? You see this right here? This is Caitlin's agent. This is Caitlin Clark's agent. So Caitlin Clark's agent is involved in, meeting up with, or in this meeting, whatever it is, whether it's a meeting or just a chat. Caitlin's agent is there. That's her freaking agent. Looks like it. CC to Liberty, CC to...
The timeline alone makes it clear that a casual post-game conversation is far from a sign of an impending jersey swap. What the moment does highlight, however, is how relationships influence player movement. Elite athletes regularly reconnect with friends, former college teammates, and Olympic colleagues after games. Clark, Stewart, and Ionescu have already crossed paths at charity events and USA basketball minicamps. The presence of Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, naturally raises eyebrows, but even that isn't inherently suspicious. Agents often travel with their clients and thank opposing coaches for their hospitality on practice days. In short, a tunnel meeting doesn't amount to tampering. For the league to even consider sanctions, it would need hard evidence audio texts or verified testimony of active recruitment.
New York Liberty said the Blitz, Sandy, Sap, and Stewie are all talking to Caitlin Clark in the tunnel. So my guess is this right here happened at the conclusion of the game. This, my friends, is currently going viral all over social media right now. That is Caitlin Clark immediately after the game. Now, what's crazy is that her team lost the damn game, but Caitlin is all smiles.
Still, context matters, and the backdrop in Indiana this summer has been anything but simple. The Fever entered training camp with bold energy, launching their Now You Know marketing campaign and spotlighting veteran additions like Dewana Bonner and Natasha Howard. On paper, the roster looked poised to evolve from scrappy underdogs to serious contenders. But a wave of injuries, including the lingering groin strain that sidelined Caitlin Clark for 11 games, stalled that momentum. The team stumbled to a 12-11 start, sat 7th in net rating, and continued to search for a reliable closing identity. Head coach Stephanie White has experimented with various lineups. shifting between up-tempo, spread pick-and-rolls that amplify Clark's elite playmaking and more. Motion-heavy sets aimed at distributing touches across the roster. Progress has come in small steps, and while fans who watched Clark dominate at Iowa sometimes question if she's being underused, not overused.
Guys, today, imagine getting on national TV, being paid by ESPN, paid by CBS, and have the nerve to look at the viewing public, lie to them, and say the Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark. I'm curious, are those same people going to be on TV this evening, tomorrow morning? Are they going to look in the camera and double down on the Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin?
In contrast, New York faces the kind of problems most coaches dream of, like figuring out how to keep everyone satisfied on a roster stacked with former All-Stars. The Liberty lead the league in both assist percentage and three-point attempts. Brina Stewart is once again producing at near MVP efficiency, and Sabrina Ionescu is shooting the best catch-and-shoot numbers of her career. Head coach Sandy Brondello's player-first system is no secret. Create wide-open spacing, run quick-flow actions, and trust the stars to read and react. It's not hard to imagine Caitlin Clark thriving in such an environment, which is precisely why a 2-minute photo op in a tunnel made such an outsized impact.
But the Liberty have shown her love. We've seen that as a bit of a theme. There was the moment between Stewie and Clark when Clark came back from injury the first time. And then there were some nice words. I missed the moment myself of them posted up there for a second. But there were some nice words from Liberty coach Sandy Brondello that I did capture.
The social media reaction unfolded along familiar lines. Liberty fans gleefully shared photoshopped images of Caitlin Clark in seafoam green, dreaming of a future pairing. Fever supporters were quick to point out that Indiana holds the power to match any future offer. Neutral observers laughed at how a single snapshot could so quickly spiral into a full-blown rumor mill. Even mainstream outlets jumped in with splashy headlines only to clarify, several paragraphs down, that no official...
This is how it starts in sports. This is how it starts in the NFL. This is how it starts in the NBA. When you start seeing the wheels in motion, there's signs. There's signs before eventually a player gets traded. A player eventually marks their next destination. The Indiana Fever, you're on notice. You're on notice. You better recognize what you've got going on, the asset in front of you, and you do whatever you have to do to correct what is happening.
For the league office, the optics are tricky. On one hand, star-driven chatter fuels engagement, clicks, and TV ratings. On the other, maintaining competitive balance is a pillar of Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's agenda, especially in the wake of the Las Vegas Aces forfeiting a 2025 first-round pick for providing impermissible benefits just 2 years ago. That punishment signaled the league's willingness to enforce its rules and still stands as a cautionary tale for every front office. The Aces case was far more clear-cut than a friendly tunnel exchange. Investigators uncovered concrete evidence of extra contract payments, but the precedent reinforces a key point. Tampering accusations are not taken lightly.
I think there is a 50-50 chance Caitlin Clark leaves Indiana after her rookie season. No, after rookie season, after rookie contract is up. Because I have a feeling that with all the restricted free agency and everything, I think they're going to try to get rid of all coring out of the CBA. I don't think coring is going to be a thing. I don't think coring is going to be a thing in the CBA. And obviously, look, you're going to have to core players. And they're going to have to core Aaliyah a year earlier than Caitlin. And if they're scared Aaliyah's going to leave, and if they're like, oh, we want to core and trade Caitlin, then Aaliyah leaves for nothing. And Caitlin leaves for nothing. So it's a bit of a weird one.
Zooming out, it's worth asking why the mere idea of a Caitlin Clark to Liberty partnership stirs such intense emotions. Part of the answer lies in the allure of a Superteam team, with Brina Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones already forming an elite core. Adding the league's assist leader and a generational shooter like Clark would instantly append every preseason projection. But the WNBA's salary cap is famously rigid. Stacking multiple Supermax contracts means making hard sacrifices on depth, draft capital, and long-term flexibility. Even if Clark were to eventually reach unrestricted free agency, fitting her into New York's books would require years of strategic planning. Not a lighthearted chat after a mid-July regular season game. there's also the market size narrative. Starting a career in Brooklyn feels categorically different than doing so in Indianapolis. National sponsors have headquarters in New York, and the local media operates at a relentless pace. Still, Clark entered the league with an 8 endorsement portfolio, including national campaigns with Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm deals that follow her regardless of zip code. Would New York elevate her visibility further? Almost certainly. But is it the only path to off-court success? The data says no. Clark herself has frequently spoken about how warmly Indiana has embraced her. Coaching philosophy adds another layer to the discourse. Some critics argue that head coach Stephanie White's system takes the ball out of Clark's hands too early, limiting her signature deep logo flips. White counters that her approach spreads, touches, eases defensive pressure on Clark, and keeps teammates engaged over the grind of a 40-game season. Both views hold merit. But the narrative that White is forcing a square peg into a round hole oversimplifies the complexity of integrating a heliocentric college scorer into a league where defenses can switch, trap, and double-team at will.
If Stephanie White believes that this team is better with Ari McDonald in, blah, 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 if she shares the same views as Carolyn Peck, you fire her on the spot. I don't care if she is an Indiana Fever alum. You fire her on the spot. And anybody else in the organization that shares that same belief set. I mean, these Stephanie White truthers, no surprise, she checks boxes, and they're the old WNBA fandom that thinks Stephanie White's getting a raw deal right now. It's so obvious she don't know what she's doing.
The more accurate framing is that both coach and point guard are learning in real time. NBA history offers plenty of precedent. Just look at Stephen Curry's transformation from Mark Jackson's system to Steve Kerr's, where year 3 bore little resemblance to year 1. Sandy Brondello's coaching resume, meanwhile, showcases the impact of tailoring schemes to personnel. In Phoenix, she unlocked record-setting efficiency from Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner. In New York, she seamlessly blended Breena Stewart's Swiss Army knife versatility with Sabrina Ionescu's off-ball gravity. If Clark's camp prioritizes system fit, the Liberty would understandably rank high on any hypothetical wish list, but they wouldn't be alone. Several other franchises could retool around Clark's unique talent. Seattle, for example, has a long-standing reputation for maximizing shooters, while Atlanta's emerging young core could evolve into a dynamic pick-and-roll playground. The point is, there are multiple compelling basketball fits and no concrete evidence that
many people is insinuating that Caitlin Clark could be trying to plan the outs of Indiana. Yes. People is already saying that Caitlin Clark could be trying to get the hell out of Indy.
Another talking point gaining momentum is the upcoming labor negotiation. The Players Union has opted out of the current CBA, set to expire after the 2025 season, opening the door for potential changes to free agency rules. If clauses like the core designation or rookie scale are shortened, mobility could increase for the 2024 draft class. Still, labor negotiations are slow-moving and deeply vetted by both players and owners, many of whom value long-term stability. Speculating on specific changes now is premature at best. From Indiana's perspective, however, the next 2 months are critical. A healthy Caitlin Clark-Holia Boston pick-and-roll remains one of the league's most efficient actions. When properly spaced and surrounded by even marginal shooting, Kelsey Mitchell has flirted with 38% from deep an uptick that could lift Indiana from mid-tier to top 4 status by September. And in sports, winning silences rumors faster than any press release ever could. Meanwhile, the Liberty remain laser-focused on their title defense. They've carefully managed Breena Stewart's minutes with October in mind. And the addition of defensive ace Natasha Cloud gives Sandy Brondello a lockdown guard who can free up Sabrina Ionescu to conserve energy. A month ago, Jonquil Jones admitted the team still gets stuck in mud offensively. That same phrase has been echoed in film sessions, used to emphasize quicker second-side actions. If New York finds its rhythm after the break, a path to a repeat title is entirely plausible with no roster changes required. So, where does that leave the viral photo? Probably in the same category as LeBron James congratulating Stephen Curry after a Warriors game, compelling, meme-worthy, and only as meaningful as each viewer decides. The WNBA's last confirmed tampering case involved documented promises of impermissible benefits, not a handshake in a hallway. Without similar evidence, the league is almost certain to treat this moment as a non-event. That said, Indiana can't afford to be complacent. They owe it to their franchise centerpiece to build a sustainable contender, whether that means revisiting offensive spacing, boosting investment in player health, or targeting high-level shooters in free agency. Players rarely leave environments that maximize both their competitive goals and personal well-being. For fans, the healthiest approach is to stay focused on the game itself. Caitlin Clark remains a nightly highlight reel. Breena Stewart is crafting one of the most resourceful offensive seasons in league history. Sabrina Ionescu's deep threes still have the power to tilt entire arenas. Indiana's supporters continue to fill Gainbridge Fieldhouse. New York's home games are drawing record walk-up crowds. Whatever jersey Clark wears in 2029 will be determined by years of basketball, bargaining, and team building, not by a candid snapshot in a tunnel. Until then, let the photo be what it likely is, a spontaneous moment of mutual respect between elite competitors. The real drama is already playing out on the floor, and the second half of the 2025 season promises more than enough intrigue to hold everyone's attention.